My own friend convinced my husband that I cheated on him, he kicked me out of our house, and now she finally said she lied. I, 25 female, don't even know where to start because I'm devastated. She, 25 female, and I were best friends for over 10 years before all of this happened. She was my sister, my friend, and the person that I trusted the most. But to her, I was never anything, because if I had meant something to her, she wouldn't have stabbed me in the back just because I married the man that she wanted. And this is important because she did this all for that very reason. 8 years ago, we met my husband, 29 male, at college. We were in our first year, and he was the assistant to one of our professors. The three of us became very good friends until he and I started dating. At that time, she never told me that she had feelings for him, so I never questioned my relationship with him. During all these years, I trusted her with very important things about my husband and myself. The last thing was the most important thing that I ever told her, and that was that I'm pregnant. I even told her before I told my husband because I took the pregnancy test while I was with her because I trusted her with my whole life. And when the test came back positive, we both cried because it was a planned baby. She seemed so happy that my chest hurts knowing that all that was fake. 6 months have passed since that day, and my husband started acting weird. He was always mad at me for absolutely no reason, until I had enough and I confronted him. He told me he's mad at me because he knows the truth. I asked him what he was talking about, and he showed me all the infidelity evidence that he has. They were chats from a dating app between a man and me, and I use quotes because I never created that account, someone else did, and used my photos. Photos that I never posted, and that I only have on my phone. So it's impossible that someone has stolen them from my social media. In those chats, I told this man that I was pregnant and that I didn't know if it was his or my husband's. In those chats, I even talked to that man about recent sexual encounters while I was pregnant, and things like that no husband or wife wants to read about their partner. I told my husband that everything was fake and that I wanted to know where he got those screenshots from. And he told me that they are screenshots of my old phone, a phone that I supposedly used to talk to other men. He told me that my best friend told him everything because she couldn't look him in the eye knowing the truth. Apparently she knew about my infidelities and told him to look for evidence on my old phone, and he did. That's why he was acting weird the last few weeks. Of course, I told him that my friend is lying and that she probably used my phone without me knowing to do that I never created any account, and that I never slept with another man other than him in my whole life. But he didn't believe me. We had a fight, and we called her to confront her, but all she did was say that she was sorry, but that she no longer wanted to keep lying to one friend to save the other's ass. We had a horrible fight, but she was calm as a effing psycho, insisting that I'm a cheater. And I couldn't convince my husband that it's all a lie because the evidence indicates that I'm guilty. So he was furious and told me to pack my stuff and get out, that he wanted a divorce and a paternity test. I went to my mother's house and we did the paternity test, which obviously indicates that the baby is his. But still, he didn't believe me that I didn't cheat on him. We had a few more fights after we did the paternity test, and I ended up in the hospital because of this stress. And apparently that made my so-called friend see reason, because she told my husband that everything he saw was fake, and that it was she who made both accounts, mine and that of the man that I was supposedly cheating on him with. She said that she did it because she was jealous because since I'm pregnant, he doesn't pay attention to her anymore. She's very good friends with the both of us since we both met him, and that she lost her mind and acted in the worst way possible. She also said that now she's really sorry, that she never thought all of this would go this far, and that she thought he'd just get mad for a few days and then forgive me, because she knew that he loves me too much to forgive me anything. Since she confessed all that, he apologized in 1,000 ways, and we've talked a lot about what happened, and we have decided to give ourselves the space we need, and we will start going to therapy, but I don't know if that will be enough. Our relationship is at its worst. It's screwed up that I'm afraid we can't work this out. And how could we? We said and did horrible things. During a fight, like he told me to pack my stuff, I refused, and he took me by the arm to do it. And he was hurting me, so I pushed him, and he hit a piece of furniture. And that's when he took me by the arms again, but this time he did it to shake me. But he's much stronger than me. Not only am I skinny compared to him, but he's also really tall. And when he did that, he really hurt me. And I don't know if we can be who we were in the past again. In the past, we almost never fought, and if we did, there was never any violence involved. How can we fix this, other than therapy? And now in the comments, what a frickin' psycho. This is a lot. The damage she inflicted over petty jealousy. How do you do something so deplorable to a person, let alone your best friends? People you claim to love, all while putting your friend's health and the health of her unborn child at risk. Just wow. And what about your husband and the ex-friend? Has he cut her out? And did she attempt anything with him while you were kicked out? Because if he's still talking to her in any capacity, that would be done for me. And OP says, yes, he blocked her from everywhere, and as far as I know, she never tried anything with him. This is a rough one. I can't tell you how to feel, but if it means anything, I am so outraged on your behalf. What is his response to bruising your arm and kicking you out? Does he really seem sorry and willing to own up to what he did? Or is he apologizing, but trying to make it seem not that bad? The thing that bothers me is OP feels they did wrong by throwing off someone hurting them. Right? He got physical with her and she was pregnant. Game over. Yep, it's been said, get a lawyer. Don't delete anything and sue that cow. She's the enemy that has caused harm. You need someone to be the bad one. She's deserving. Yes, this. She needs to pay the hospital bills and for the emotional stress OP dealt with during this time. It could have cost her the baby. I'd also put her on blast on social media. I know that can seem tacky, but I think this is an exception because that woman is dangerous to others. All her friends and family need to know how low she'll go because she is a loser. And now to the update. Thank you for all the messages you sent me and the comments you left on my first post. I really appreciated it. Things have gotten a lot better since then. We talked to my now ex-friend, and she admitted to using my old phone to create that fake profile and to also message the other man, and I use quotes because that man never existed, it was her. She used that phone when she came to my house every day, since we had a business together. She knew where the phone was, and she also knew that no one ever used it, so she had everything perfectly planned out, which is scary because she really needs help. I mean, with all this, it is more than clear that she's a psychopath and needs help. She said all the things she did, and she had even told my husband that she drove me to meet that man so many times. And she told him that I made her pay with her card for the hotel where I met that man, and that the truth is that I was never in any of those hotels. But all of that was right there, and it looked real, so of course he believed her. She has been my friend for many years, but she has also been friends with him for over 8 years. So we trusted her, and we never thought she would do something like that. And when she started telling all those lies, it sounded real. In fact, the messages and everything looked very real. And I understand why my husband believed it. And if it had been the other way around, maybe I would have believed it too. On the other hand, my husband and I are still trying to cope with all this. After that violent episode, things got really hard between us. It's not easy to save a marriage once violence is involved, but we're trying. I came back home, and for now things are fine. But sometimes it's really warm here, and I wear t-shirts, and he doesn't even want to look at me because I still have the bruises from his hands on my arms. And they don't look too bad now, but they are still there after almost 2 months of that episode. And I'm guessing they'll take a while to go away since I'm a very pale person, and my skin is very sensitive. But my arms don't hurt anymore or anything like that, so I don't mind the bruises. He has apologized for what he did, and I forgave him because it was something that affected us both. And I understand that we both got violent and we are both guilty for screwing up our relationship. But like I said, we are still trying to get over it, and I guess it will take a while to get over it. It won't be easy, but we are willing to work so hard that everything will get better by the time our baby arrives in a few weeks. That's why we started individual and couples therapy, so we hope everything gets better. Now we're focused on that, we're preparing her room and buying things for her, and for now that's working. Our relationship is slowly getting back to how it was before, and I'm really happy about that, because we loved each other for 8 years, and the last thing I wanted was to throw away our relationship after all that time, because I know how our relationship was, and I know that this was the first time that we both reacted like this. And we promised each other that it will never happen again, and we will do everything possible so that it does not happen again. So that's all. Wow, the ex-friend is seriously messed up. I can't imagine how a relationship recovers from what they've been through. That evil woman may get what she wants. She may have destroyed their marriage permanently. She didn't tell the truth because OP was stressed. I think she told the truth because husband didn't want anything to do with her. The moment she noticed she couldn't get with him, she told him the truth because it would hurt husband to know everything he did was based on a lie. I don't think husband will be violent again, at least not so soon, but I don't think this relationship can be solved by slowly pretending nothing happened. Months of couples counseling that OP did not mention in the first post, but nothing on the second, and living apart before deciding if this is salvageable should be the answer. Staying with someone you have no trust in is not going to end well. I personally couldn't look past my spouse grabbing me hard enough to leave bruises and shaking me. I do hope it all works out with her. That friend really does sound like a psychopath. This isn't a positive update. OP decided to stay with someone who has been violent towards them. I'm just sad now. I don't like OP saying they both got violent when her violence consisted of pushing her husband away to defend herself. Yeah, that part stood out to me, almost as though she was gaslighting herself, or maybe has been heavily gaslit by her husband, into believing that defending herself is comparable to her husband grabbing and shaking her. To put your relationship to the side, if you are still covered in bruises after almost 2 months, you really need to go see a doctor. That slow healing could be indicative of some larger health problem. If you're having some issues with, say, blood clotting, you want to have the doctors figure that out now instead of while you are giving birth. Usually, bruises clear up in a matter of 1 or 2 weeks. If you are still black and blue after around 8 weeks, that is something your doctor needs to know about ASAP. It doesn't really matter that you're pale. It also doesn't matter however embarrassed you might be when the doctors ask you what happened, and you have to confess to your husband hurting you. What matters there is, your body isn't able to adequately clear that hematoma after an excessive amount of time. That's important medical information right there. Take it to your doctor as soon as you possibly can. Because despite all the miracles of modern medicine, plenty of people still bleed out and die during childbirth. If your body isn't handling bleeding in a normal fashion, including bruises, that is very important for your doctors to be on top of. Our next post is titled, "Am I the asshole for telling my daughter moving out was a bad idea financially?" My daughter is 22 and she wants to move out soon. She's planning on moving out with her best friend. It doesn't make much sense economically. My daughter doesn't have a high salary, and the way things are going, if she moves out, she will take years to save up for down payment. She wants to buy a home and is living with us so she can save a lot of money. Another factor is that her best friend has a boyfriend, and I've heard her best friend talking about moving in with him. So it could also be a situation where my daughter will have to find a new roommate after a year. It doesn't make sense at all. We were talking about moving, and she asked me what I thought of it. I told her that it didn't make sense financially if she wanted to move out, and she will have to delay buying a house. I also mentioned that she could have to find a new roommate if her friend got serious with her boyfriend. She got upset and irritated. She said she would deal with it, and she ended the conversation quickly. My husband thinks we should just let her make her own decisions and mistakes. And now in the comments, on the basis of financial sense, nobody would ever move out. Your daughter has an opportunity here to spread her wings and experience some independence. You are falling for entirely natural parental instincts to shield your child from any possible negative that might happen. Your daughter is 22. By that age, I had been living 2 hours away from my parents for 4 very educational and eye-opening years. which enabled me to function as a grown adult far better than had I stayed at home. Time to loosen the apron strings. No assholes here, as long as you let her make her own decisions. The daughter asked, if someone asks your opinion, you're allowed to give it. OP is not actively trying to stop her, just giving her some valid reasons of the downsides. Her daughter got upset because the truth is stressful and reacted poorly. A more appropriate response from her daughter would have been, I'll keep that in mind and weigh that against the pros of more independence, or something like that. Also, not the asshole. And OP says, yeah, I think I'm just anxious. She's smart. I don't think she's going to make huge mistakes. And even if she finds it hard to manage on her own, or if her roommate moves in with her boyfriend, she will work her way through it. Obviously, I don't know the specifics of the friend talking about moving in with the boyfriend, but the way I see it, assuming the place they want to rent is a 2-bedroom place, the more likely outcome would be just the boyfriend moving in with your daughter and her friend, because then rent would be cheaper on all of them being split 3 ways, and that could ultimately be beneficial to the end goal of buying a house. I know you're a worried mama and all, but don't forget to remind yourself of all the ways things could potentially turn out better for her as well. And OP replies, I will think the positive too. They are moving into a studio apartment, so the boyfriend probably not moving in. I've never met the boyfriend, so that also scares me a little, but that is the very, very irrational part of my brain talking. 2 people moving into a studio is asking for trouble. At least for me, there are very, very few people I could share my space with in that manner, with no other respite offering real privacy. Even a 1-bedroom, where one person could escape to the shared bedroom and the other stay in the living room, would be preferable. If you're going to discuss the practicality of the situation, I would definitely mention that. Have the 2 of them ever spent weeks or even days together in confined quarters? Giving your opinion when she asked you for it isn't really being an asshole. It might work out for her, it might not. I just hope that this doesn't mean that you won't help her since she declined the help you gave her by staying at home. In her perspective, she's 22 and probably feels she's becoming too old to stay at home, watching her friends move out and in with their own home or with a partner. The price of that sense of accomplishment and freedom she gets for having her own place is somewhere between the difference between her staying at home and moving out, and priceless. No assholes here. And now to the update. I posted about 3 months ago. I was very anxious about her moving out, and the plan she made sounded so unlike her. I talked to her again and said I supported her decision, and I wanted her to do what made her happy. She moved out 2 months ago and has been living with her best friend. She lives about half an hour away and visits us a lot. Well, my daughter told me that her best friend doesn't have a boyfriend and that they've been dating for a few years. It was a white lie that her best friend had created to hide their relationship from her parents. Everything makes sense now. I feel embarrassed that I didn't notice that they were dating, and at the same time relief that my daughter wasn't walking into a messy situation, rather she was just protecting her girlfriend. And now in the comments, I wish more kids got greeted by, oh thank God you're gay, I was worried that something was wrong, and then ran around telling strangers that their kid is happy and doing great. I watch Sister Wives. It's one of my few entertainment guilty pleasures. Anyway, when one of their daughters came out to all the parents in a family meeting she called, one mum immediately responded, oh thank God, I thought you had cancer. It's especially lovely that you are warm and accepting, because it sounds as if your daughter's girlfriend's family isn't. At the very least, the girlfriend believes them to be so homophobic that she must conceal her love for your daughter. That must be ever so painful and difficult for her. I'm sure she appreciates having you in her life as much as your daughter does. They are both lucky to have you. And that's where I'm going to end today's episode, guys. I do hope you enjoyed. If you did, let me know what you thought about it down in the comments below, and I'll see you on the next episode. Bye.